to D&D Beyond. As you might have noticed, we're having kind of an exciting week. Michael, how are you feeling right now?
Like I'm caught in a tornado of puppies and kittens.
And that brings us to today's subject, which is another thing we've been doing here on the stream, is playing through Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep. And to do that, we built ourselves some lovely characters at level 3. We're carrying on from the campaign we did at levels 1 and 2 through Explorer's Guide to Wildmount's Unwelcome Spirits adventure. And while I was DMing that one, I'm playing in this one. And here's the thing. As DM, I was like, everybody gets a free feat at first level. Was helping one of the characters figure out their build, and we sort of talked it through. And then when I built my character, I forgot to take a feat, Michael. And I've been dragging my feet on it, no pun intended, for several weeks of our game. We are halfway through our game, and with your permission, I would like to get a feat, please, for my Kobold Sorcerer, Kex, who I love very much and definitely never causes any problems. So I would love to pick out a feat for my sorcerer, for my Divine Soul Sorcerer, and I was hoping that you might have some suggestions.
Oh boy. Oh, all right. So I have a lot of suggestions. I've been playing a sorcerer for almost 3 years now, I think. So I have a lot of thoughts on the feats. And fun fact, I am also playing a Divine Soul Sorcerer. I did take a multi-class in Bard, so my build is slightly different. But there's a lot of really great options out there. So if you don't mind, I'd love to list off all of them, and then we can kind of just like hone in on the ones that I'm most excited about for you.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Sweet. Okay, so buckle up. These are in no particular order, by the way. I don't choose. I don't pick favorites. The first that came
I'm
to
going to
mind
make you pick
is the
favorites in like a minute.
yes. Metamagic Adept. That one is from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Fey Touched, Shadow Touched, Actor, iconic, Elemental Adept, Gift of the Metallic Dragon. That one's from Fizzband, so that one's relatively new. Inspiring Leader. Love that one. Think it's so cute. Keyleth took it in campaign 1. Did a fantastic job with it. Warcaster, Ritual Caster, Skill Expert, Spell Sniper, Telekinetic. That was a
Okay,
lot.
all of them sound delicious. All of them sound good as part of my balanced sorcerer breakfast. They sound like some really interesting possibilities. Of those that are on your kind of long list, what are some we should take a closer look at?
This is very difficult of an ask, but number 1, Metamagic Adept. I think that is just perfect for sorcerers. Fey Touched, I will get into why it's so awesome. But the skinny of that one is that it gives you extra spells, which sorcerers do need.
Let's
Gift.
take this one by one. So the first one you're
Oh,
picking
okay.
is Metamagic Adept?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So Metamagic Adept, if you are
Let's take a
unfamiliar with
second. I'm
it.
going to pull this up. So for folks following along at home, there is a link to a copy of Kex that I made that we're going to monkey around with in the workshop today. And that is running through chat, or it's down in the description. And she, as you can see, is a kobold sorcerer at level 3 right now. Now, I built her with sort of a smorgasbord. I was like, some spells like this and some various, metamagic that I was just like, I want to do a little bit of everything. It might not be the most effective build. Maybe we're going to help that today. Maybe we're going to make it worse. Who knows? But she has a variety mostly of elemental spells that she does, along with a little bit of that shielding cure wounds as her sort of divine soul. I do more than once. That's why she has guidance. She's a little bit support, a little bit attack. All right, Michael, I got it pulled up. What is
All right.
Metamagic Adept?
So Metamagic Adept. So this was added in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. That particular book did a lot of great things for the sorcerer, and one of those things is this particular feat. This feat gives you 2 metamagic options of your choice from the sorcerer class. You also get 2 sorcery points to spend on metamagic, and these sorcery points, they refresh on a long rest, just like normal sorcery points. The reason that this is such a great feat for sorcerers is, first, The coolest thing about being a sorcerer is manipulating and changing the way your spells work with metamagic. So if you go through the metamagic options from the base sorcerer, and even I think there's two additional metamagic options that were added in Tasha's, you're going to have decision paralysis because there's so many cool things that you can do with metamagic. One of my favorites that you took as Kex is the twin spell metamagic, which says that if you cast a spell that has one target, you can twin it to actually have it have two targets. So your cure wounds, if Tree Kick and Ember Tide are damaged and standing within range of you, you can twin spell a cure wounds on them to heal them both at the same time. It's a really great way to kind of get more bang for your buck when you're casting spells. The other option that I saw you took was Careful Spell, which is really great with Burning Hands because, if you were in a situation where it's tight quarters and maybe Tree Kick, you're standing behind Tree Kick trying to get some cover against an enemy, but you do need to deal that really great damage. You can use Burning Hands, and Tree Kick will still take that half damage from succeeding on the spell. But it does ensure that when you cast Burning Hands, no matter what, like your allies are, going to be protected from the full brunt of the spell. They won't have to worry about rolling a saving throw.
I love that, and it
Now,
looks like I think I checked through some of my lower level ones should work with my careful spell, because if there is a case where the save will completely protect them, then that's not good news with enemies, but it might be good news with your friends.
mhm. Now for Kex, if I were to pick any metamagic options for you, and I hope you don't mind if I give you suggestions.
Sure.
I would the number one that I saw, this one was added in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's called Transmuted Spell. And this particular metamagic, you spend one sorcery point and you can change the damage type of the spell that you cast, as long as it deals acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder damage. So for something like Burning Hand, you can spend one sorcery point and then you have burning acid, burning lightnings. It's a really cool
Razor burn.
way to, yeah, it's really cool from a flavor perspective, but also if you're thinking about the fact that sorcerers don't tend to have a whole ton of spells, you want to be able to change your damage type so that you can better deal with creatures like, let's say you encounter a fire elemental or a creature native of the nine hells that might have immunity or resistance to fire damage. It helps you make sure that you're going to still be effective in those fights.
Amazing. What's the next feat on our shopping list?
So the next feat on our shopping list is going to be Fey Touched. This one is a personal favorite of mine. So this particular spell, um, it says your exposure to the Feywild's magic has changed you, granting the following benefits. You increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 up to a maximum of 20. And more importantly, or just as importantly, you learn Misty Step, which is an amazing spell to get out of trouble when someone gets close to you. You can Misty Step away. It won't trigger an opportunity attack. It's also a great way to, get to that second floor of the building if the staircases collapse or what have you. It's also a bonus action spell, which is just so awesome. And then you also get to choose a first level spell that is either divination or enchantment, and you get one free casting of those spells of both Misty Step and the first level spell that you've picked. And then you can use spell slots to cast them on subsequent after that first time. So you're effectively getting one free second level spell slot, one free first level spell slot for these spells, and then you get to go kind of just like keep playing with them. There's a
That's
lot of great
incredible.
options here.
Incredibly versatile. Okay, when we as we dive into this in the back half of the stream, I will make you recommend some choices that come with that. But I can
Yes.
already see the wheels are turning on this delightful one. What's next of our top 5 faves?
I also picked Spell Sniper as a favorite of mine. So Spell Sniper is from the player's handbook. The prerequisite is you have to be able to cast one spell. Easy. You're a sorcerer. You cast spells. And you have learned techniques to enhance your attacks with certain kinds of spells, gaining the following benefits. When you cast a spell that requires you to make an attack roll, the spell's range is doubled, which is really handy. Your ranged spell attacks ignore half cover and three-quarters cover. If you don't know, half cover and three-quarters cover do add to the defender's AC. So being able to ignore that means that you're going to more consistently be able to hit your targets if they are taking advantage of standing behind barrels, standing behind larger creatures, ducking behind a corner, that sort of situation. And then lastly, you learn a cantrip that requires an attack roll. It can be a cantrip from the Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard spell list. My favorite, of course, and I think a lot of people probably would pick this as their favorite, is Eldritch Blast from the Warlock spell list because it uses Charisma and it's a pretty iconic attack, a pretty iconic cantrip that requires an attack roll.
Just small question. Does Spell Sniper combine with the Metamagic that lets you extend your range?
Yes, I believe it does. Because
Mm.
you are spell sniper is a feat that modifies the range, and then you have metamagic that's further modifying the range.
Well, that's very impressive. Okay, but I'm still shopping. What's next on my list?
And we also have ritual caster. This is
Ah,
a very simple sort of feat from the player's handbook. Effectively, you get a now this one's a little tricky because it does require an intelligence or wisdom of 13 or higher, which
okay.
as a sorcerer, maybe you're not prioritizing that as much. But
I've got
if
the
you
int. I
do,
don't have the wisdom, but good to know.
great. Yeah. So if you do meet that prerequisite and you take this feat, you will get a ritual book that contains two first level spells of your choice. And these are spells that have a ritual tag. You do have to choose from a particular class that has ritual spells like the bard, the cleric, the druid, sorcerer, warlock, or the wizard. Then you choose your spells from that spells class list. What's really nifty about this is, again, some sorcerers do struggle with the limited number of spells that they learn level to level. So this is a great way for sorcerers to pick up those sort of um, utility type spells that will make them feel like they have more options when they're outside of combat. And it lets you, as you're leveling up, to focus more on just getting the spells that are going to be most effective for you. The spells like Fireball, for example. You don't want to be wrangling with, oh, should I take this ritual spell because it's going to be handy outside of combat, or should I take Fireball because it makes me better in combat? You can take Fireball, and then with Ritual Caster, you are able to um, learn additional. You get to fill in your ritual book with more rituals as you come across spell scrolls and wizard spell
I
books.
love that. So that's a great option, especially for someone who wants to make sure they're still very effective, but would like to enjoy some of these non-optimized kind of options to fill out the experience and have more to do. And as I have noticed that like Kex repeatedly wishes she had mending and other small useful things. There's a legit character need to fill out those other areas of life. I think you have one
Yeah,
more
if
for
you
me,
want
right?
mending, you should look at maybe Magic Initiate because you do get cantrips through that one too. Or you get cantrips through that one. Ritual Caster is specifically ritual spells, so first level and higher
Mm.
spells that have the ritual tag.
All right, there's one more on my shopping list, right?
Yes, actually, oh yeah, oh, this was my wild pick. The Gift of the Metallic Dragon. This one's from
Ah,
Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and I like this particular feat for more support type characters. So it does two things. It This particular feat says that you've manifested some of the power of metallic dragons, granting you the following benefits. The first is you learn Cure Wounds. Now, unless you're a Divine Soul Sorcerer, you're not going to have easy access to the Cure Wounds spell. So maybe this might not be the best choice for Kex unless you didn't have the opportunity to take Cure Wounds before and you wanted to
this would
pick
be
it
another
up.
great way to get there.
Yes, exactly. So you learn Cure Wounds. You can cast it once for free, but then you can also use spell slots in order to continue to cast it on subsequent turns. You also get, and I really like this half of the feat, you get a feature called Protective Wings. You can manifest protective wings that can shield you or others. When you or another creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to manifest spectral wings from your back for a moment. You grant a bonus to the target's AC equal to your proficiency bonus against that attack roll, potentially causing it to miss. And you can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, with uses regained after a long rest. This is a really neat sort of feat. It's kind of like at lower levels, it's a weaker sort of shield option, except that you can also help out an ally who may be getting hit, which is really handy if you're a character like Kex who would prefer, well, I'm assuming would prefer to stand in the back lines, slinging
Yeah,
spells
most
from
of
the
the
back.
time. Mhm.
So you would be probably in a position to be standing right behind Tree Kick and Embertide as they're fighting, and then you're able to use this feature in order to maybe save them from being hit by an attack. Or if someone is coming after you, this is a way for you to kind of protect yourself without expending any spell slots.
All right. These are some delicious options. So in the back half of today's stream, we are going to take a closer look at a couple of those, see if chat has any suggestions they might want to throw at us, and go through some of those backup options from the long list that you suggested. But Michael, thank you for giving me so much to chew on as I put the finishing touches on Kex. And you'll have to check out the back half here to see what we eventually settle on. But her link is running in chat and in the description.